Hey, Blondie, can you tell me which way is catering?
With Justine and Bruce.
Served up by Variety Attractions, celebrating 60 years of entertainment excellence.
Today's backstage tour is with Pam Matthews from IEBA.
And it is a great show today because we talk about everything but entertainment at times.
I mean, talking to her, I was almost giddy. It was like so exciting and entertaining, and the things we covered.
And the best part about it was that we've never sat down with Pam before and really talked about things. I loved it because at the end, it seems like we've been meeting with each other for years. It's like seeing family again. You just kind of pick up where you left off.
Yes.
So then we picked up right at drag queens.
Right. And that was right after we talked about porn.
Kiss and Ozzy.
Of course, the Judds.
Elvis.
Tour buses. Toilet seats.
Well, on that note, let's get backstage with Pam. I really would like to get backstage, and I'll do anything. Okay, can you come over and paint my house?
Do you dust? Come on over and walk my dog.
I've heard that a few times.
That's good.
I've never had the guts to say something like that.
Really?
Oh,
I'm surprised.
Timing wasn't there.
Hopefully soon, because I want to see that.
I want my house painted.
Yeah. I'll do anything. Will you pay for my children's college tuition?
I'll do anything. Wash my car for a whole year.
Well, and they say just to go backstage. But what do you want to do there? You can go backstage and I can sit you by a dumpster. And that's not going to be any fun.
Or I could take you backstage and lead you right out.
Or that. Just because you're backstage doesn't mean it's fun. Sometimes
it's not like everyone's running around naked all the time.
I know. Sometimes it's not even fun back there.
No, it isn't.
It's like dumpster fire. Someone's
DEFCON
crying.
1.
Someone's drank too much.
Someone's carrying around 2-foot Fred. Boy, your parents must really be proud. If I was a father and I saw my daughter in a summer dress carrying around 2-foot Fred, I don't know.
Be none impressed?
I don't think I would be. I am going to be impressed when we talk to Pam, though.
Oh, I think she's here. Are we ready?
She's waiting.
Are you nervous? Pam's a big deal, Bruce.
She is, and my palms are sweating.
Look at you guys crowded around a microphone.
Yeah.
How's it going?
You know, it's cold here in Wisconsin, so we have to cuddle.
Welcome to another episode of Which Way Is Catering with Justine and Bruce.
And today we have a special guest. It's Pam Matthews, Executive Director of the International Entertainment Buyers Association, better known as IEBA. And welcome to our podcast, Pam.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Great. I just want to say, is that a nice Hatch poster you have framed in the background?
It is. It's from IEBA's 40th anniversary.
Oh, nice.
I love that.
Yeah. That's really good.
Yeah.
This happened to me about a month ago. I was talking to an event. It's a pop-up beer garden. I sent them my bio, and they hire acts that are very low dollars. It's a very small event, and they were looking for me to help them out. So as we were talking, and the conversation was getting better and better, but then all of a sudden, he says to me, he goes, "You know what, Bruce? You have a very impressive bio, but you know what? Those are just words on paper." What
I would have said to that.
How would you have handled that? Because you have a very impressive resume as well. And what if someone just said to you, "Well, you know what, Pam, those are just words on paper"?
Let me just be completely honest with you.
Please.
I probably would have just hung up the phone as quickly as possible.
Well,
Just to be honest with you, that's probably what I would have done, because a bio can never be anything but words on a page. So I don't know what he was expecting, like a song or dance, so.
Yeah, but
But
Well,
I will
that's
say this. I
that's
will
way
say
in the
this about bios. I have this. Um, I'm just going to call it like it is. I have this bias about people who sort of pad their bio because at this point in my career, I can see through that. Like I can see through that, and I sort of feel for people who are younger in the business because those of us who are older in the business can. And you're like, yeah, okay. Like, when it's like fluffed up a little bit. And then also if you're bragging because you sold X amount of tickets, you're like, yeah, I did that one year in 1988. I sold that many tickets, but yay, good for you.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
okay, well, I was on the right
That's
page
kind of what
because
you did,
yeah,
right?
because after he said that, I was just like, yeah, I don't think this is gonna work out.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, and like if it's Tuesday and I'm in a better headspace, I'm going to go, because let me repeat it back to you. Did the guy say, you have a very impressive bio, but these are just words on a page?
Yeah, because he was
So,
just
so the short answer could have been, well, thank you so much.
because it
bye-bye.
was very bye-bye. Because it
Bye-bye.
was very impressive.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, thanks for that
Yeah.
answer. I'm good with that. I feel better now. I
Yeah.
thought maybe I slighted him, but maybe I didn't. So that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
It worked. If
Yeah.
you would have kept on with that though, I mean, it would have just eventually just downhill.
And that's where it was kind
Yeah.
of going anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Because when
Okay.
things start to, that's the other thing too. Like your gut knows when things start to spiral. Oh, this is going to spiral. This guy I feel like I think maybe this guy just insulted me, right?
In a
So,
way, yes.
Yeah.
right. So if your gut tells you it's going down, it's probably going down.
Yeah. And this guy is on me with this bio for me trying to help him book $100
Yeah.
acts. I mean,
Oh,
really?
let's go. See ya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See ya. Oh,
Okay.
should have had Justine call you on their line. Ooh, my other line's ringing. Gotta go. Bye.
Yeah.
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 My more important client is calling me. Gotta go.
Mhm.
My bio writer is calling me for an update. Gotta go. Bye.
Yeah. I think where we want to start to we know you've been in Nashville for lots and lots of years now. Over 30 years you've been in Nashville, correct?
So on January the 5th or the 8th of 1985, 36 years ago, I signed a lease on an apartment and opened a bank account in Nashville, Tennessee. 36 years, which is either like amazing or sad. I'm not sure what it is. Like I'm stuck or it's so
No.
awesome. It's
No,
amazing.
you're never stuck.
No,
I will say this. So I spent the most of my life in two amazing music cities. I grew up in Memphis in the 60s and 70s. Hello. And then I arrived in Nashville in 1985. So like, where am I going to go for that kind of music culture?
Mhm.
I mean, I feel really lucky. I feel really lucky just to be surrounded by so much music.
I mean, is your next stop New Orleans?
Mm.
I love New Orleans, but I really do. So my brother and I went to Tipitina's for New Year's Eve 9 years in a row, um, to see the Radiators and sometimes the Nevilles. I think New Orleans is about to slip into the ocean. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't buy property in New Orleans, but I love I went to New Orleans for my honeymoon. That's how much I love New Orleans.
Mm.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I mean, again, from Memphis, it's a not, depending on who's driving, 8 or 9 hours straight shot south. We used to go to New Orleans all the time. If you had a full tank of gas, you were going to New Orleans.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Take us back to Memphis. So when you started, tell us about Stax Records.
Yeah, Stax
Stax
Records
Folks.
and not your usual story. I mean, do you
I
have
got stories for you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because when I
Yeah.
saw that you were associated with that and had the opportunity to be there, I thought that was amazing.
So, my dad was in the grocery business until he retired. And so when I was little, we lived in the same basic neighborhood as Elvis. So Elvis, at Graceland, Elvis and I shared the same mall. It was
Oh.
it's not like a mall. This was in the 60s and 70s, but it's the same. It's a mall. It's still a mall. And the same a couple of grocery stores. So my dad was repairing some cash registers, some old school, like, how are we on the cursing with this thing? Can I use a little, how are we doing? My dad was in the grocery store repairing these old school shitty cash registers. And I'm sitting on the end of the grocery or the grocery tray. And Isaac Hayes walked in. And this is like, let's just call it 1970. And he had on a giant gold chain, some orange velour hot pants.
Oh,
Not
sweet.
hot pants. I don't know what they were, like walking shorts. They just barely covered his knee, a vest and no shirt. And it was a thing. Like, I just looked at him and I'm like little, and I kind of started crying because like, he's like my Isaac Hayes in the heyday, like a force of nature. And then like the next week, Rufus Thomas came in with basically the same ensemble, except it was powder blue. And he had like this big, great afro, and like they just had style at the grocery store.
Yeah.
That it's not like we were at the club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The grocery store. He had on a velour outfit, and Isaac Hayes' was like a rusty orange, and Rufus Thomas's was powder blue. So, and then one day we're driving down what is now known as Elvis Presley Boulevard, and my dad pulls up, and Elvis is on a motorcycle, and my dad goes, "Hey, EP." And I thought my dad knew Elvis because my dad just goes, "Hey, EP." And then Elvis also bought all his little Maltese puppies from the pet store in the mall. And one of my friends worked at the pet store. And Elvis came in to buy these. He came into the mall, came in through the back door and said, "I'd like to have the pair of Maltese puppies that you got." And so the guy, and he's like 15, goes and gets the puppies and gives them to Elvis. And then Elvis just leaves. So his boss comes and goes, "Hey man, where are those Maltese puppies?" And the guy goes, "Elvis came and got them." He goes, "Did he pay for them?" And he was like, "Oh, I kind of forgot to ask." But then as per usual, like a day or two later, one of his guys comes around with a check for these Maltese puppies. And that's like a common theme. So Elvis used to go get stuff and then send people back around to pay for it. And the checks were drawn off Elvis Presley Enterprises. And so many businesses in Memphis would have this check framed. Elvis Presley Enterprises made out to, My Pet Shop for, $400, and they wouldn't cash the checks. Oh. They would frame them. And so then Elvis's accountant and then the bank would have to call all these places and go, "Look, we'll give you a commemorative check, but we really need you to cash that check."
Yes.
And it became a thing. I remember one time it was in the Commercial Appeal, "Everybody cash the Elvis check, please."
That's hilarious.
Because it was becoming a thing with the IRS. Like, he would claim all these expenses, but it wouldn't come out of the bank account because people wouldn't cash their Elvis checks.
Now,
So,
would
like,
Elvis
stuff like that?
Would Elvis actually sign the checks, or was it his business manager or accountant?
I don't remember that part.
Oh, okay. Because that would be kind of cool.
So then,
do you remember auto pins?
Mm-mm.
So an auto pin was a thing, a mechanical device that signed mechanically someone's autograph. When I worked for the Judds, we had an auto pin that would sign Naomi. Why no? So
wow.
I feel like it was Elvis had an auto pin that signed that check, because I feel like the check did say Elvis Presley. But I also feel like it was auto pinned. I don't know.
I thought it was just a stamp.
A stamp, yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't, because I've seen those checks. Anybody from Memphis, especially in my age group, knows exactly what I'm talking about. Like my aunts and uncles, they go, "Yeah, I saw those checks." So one of my best friends in high school was Jeff Dunn.
Yeah.
And his dad was Duck Dunn, the famous bass player.
Mm-hmm.
Duck and Steve Cropper, that whole the house band there. But I didn't ever go to Stax Folds.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
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 Yeah,
I
no.
got it. Okay.
Because you
Mm-mm.
saw these people come into the grocery. That's what you were
Oh,
saying.
they're just
Yeah.
all around. Yeah,
Yeah.
So then when you were
everywhere.
little and they were coming in, all decked out in the nines at the grocery, did you think to yourself like, "Oh man, like that lifestyle is cool and I want to
No, I
learn."
mean, I was like really little, like 5 and 6. So
Okay.
but I think that sets an important tone is that if you live somewhere else and all you see is people that look like your mama, your daddy, your grandparents, your aunts and uncles, your friends' moms and dads, like that's a thing. But if you live in a place where you are exposed to fabulousness from the time you're able to recognize something, like that is different and fabulous. And then there's something to aspire to. And it's not just in a magazine. Like when you're 6 years old, you're not getting a fan magazine with Rufus Thomas in it, but you
Right.
get to see that and you just get to see that culture and just go, hey man, there's something else other than what happens in my backyard.
Sure. Yeah.
And then just all the great radio stations,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
all and then just driving. Here's another thing. So when you're driving down the street in your neighborhood and what music is coming out of other people's cars, like if you were in another town, I'm guessing that you weren't hearing the same music I was hearing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
That had to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
fabulous.
There's different
Oh,
music coming out
amazing.
of downtown Milwaukee than downtown Memphis. And
Memphis.
yeah.
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 Yes. Yeah.
So,
And it just everybody had, and it tends to elevate the taste level. Like if you have friends whose dads make great records or work at great radio stations or that kind of stuff, you are exposed to, I'm just going to say it, better music. If you're in a music town, you're exposed to better music. You have better musical taste because you have that experience, and it's amazing. It's just, I feel real lucky.
so with your time with the Judds,
Yeah.
and you built that empire, um, what what was kind of your biggest professional and personal takeaway from that entire experience?
Work ethic.
Mm.
Naomi Judd might be a little wacky and just interesting and a bubble off center, but that woman has a work ethic. Like if she needs to be ready at 8, she is ready at about 10 minutes to late, and I mean ready. Hair, makeup, script, warmed up, prepared, already said hello to everybody. Like she's ready to go. Also, handwritten thank you notes. I don't know. So it used to be a thing after award shows to send telegrams to the winners. And she, like, if you want a Grammy, you might get a telegram from Dionne Warwick, or you might get a telegram from Barbara Streisand. It was just a thing.
Hmm.
And Naomi did that. Like she wrote thank you notes and congratulatory notes to everyone for everything. She had a shed of gifts. Like this whole section was baby gifts. She contracted with this man who made custom little rocking horses for babies,
Hmm.
and he would put the sort of brand or burn in the child's name on the back of the horse, and they were just adorable. And she would just call this guy and say, I need one for Avery. Please put Avery on it. And then sometimes he would deliver depending on where it is. And I need you to take it to Martina McBride's house. And, Edie will tell you how to get there, and just deliver it. Like she gave gifts and thank yous and congratulatory notes to everybody. And it was a really good thing. When I was the general manager at the Ryman Auditorium, we wrote a thank you note to every single band that played our stage, every
Wow.
single one.
Hmm.
And not with an auto pen.
Not with an auto pen.
Not
Right.
with an auto
Nope.
pen.
Right.
Yeah.
No. A thank you note to every person who played our stage for 8 years. And I don't mind telling people that, like that's sort of a secret. I really think that's a secret to success, is to write people notes. And I don't mind saying it because some people will do it, but most people won't. Because let me tell you, it's a big task.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big task to sit down and write a thank you note. We do that at IEBA. Everybody who speaks at IEBA gets a handwritten thank you note. I just like that kind of touch.
Yeah, that is a nice touch.
It's a nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when I was 15, I started working with Bob Kelly at Mid-South Concerts as a runner. So I did that before, and then before I hit the Judds. Then I spent 3 years at Starwood, and then I toured with Kiss and Ozzy. So I definitely have those ripped costume stories with Kiss and Ozzy. I don't remember any ripped costume stories with the Judds.
Okay, go with the costumes for Kiss and Ozzy.
Oh, like bunches of split pants, like tons of just split pants. I also remember with one of the opening acts with Ozzy. I did one Ozzy tour, which is Bark at the Moon, and we had an opening act before we got Motley Crue, and the record label had purchased leather outfits for the band to wear. This is a baby band, an opening act. And they only, like, I think only had, the guitar player had one pair of leather pants. And he didn't know, like, if you wear those more than a couple of times, there might need to be some cleaning or maintenance or something. And so they bought them these outfits, but they didn't tell them how to clean them. And so the wardrobe mistress with Kiss was she had her hands full, and she'd been touring for about 10 more years than I had, maybe 12. And she knew her job, and her job did not include taking care of the costumes for the opening act. Like, she was very focused. She did her job and did not take care of the opening act. So, like, I tried to ask her, and she didn't give me a lot of advice. And it was like, I don't know, 20 years before you Google anything. So I called up a dry cleaner one time, and they didn't give me a lot of answers. We were going to put them in the bathtub. Then we decided to not do that, because I don't know how to get it. And they were just nasty. And then we had to, so I ended up asking Gene one day. It was like, dude, the opening act has these one outfits, and they wear them every night, and they're about to get disgusting. What should we do? And he was really nice and told us how to clean the leather and stuff. Then I went and told the opening act, okay, Gene says you need to do this. I thought that was really neat. That was fun. It was
because I am sure those Kiss outfits, I mean, those things have to kind of maybe go through a car wash or something. I mean, those just seem crazy.
Yeah. And they've been that way for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah. And just those heels. I always think, I mean, if you've ever been in physically around them when they're in costume, I'm impressed, because I don't wear like heels like I used to. But I mean, I would habitually at the Ryman Auditorium wear heels to work. And just work for 16 hours in a pair of heels. It was nothing. I was like, I don't know, 40 or 38, and it was not that hard. But those things, like, that's just
they're like stilts almost.
They are. Yeah, they are. And I know that they're custom, of course, and they're balanced. Nonetheless, it's not that Gene and Paul are just amazing entertainers. They also wear that shit like champs. I find that very impressive. Very impressive.
And kind of looking at Kiss and Ozzy and those kind of acts, their personality backstage is a lot different than when they put on their game face when they go on stage.
Gene Simmons is funny as hell. That guy is so funny. He's very funny. He was always very funny to me, and kind of like doing funny little practical jokes, and would wear pink socks and just funny stuff. Just like in the hotel, he just did funny stuff. He was a funny guy. Yeah. He liked to entertain people on stage and off. And because, when the wigs come off and the costume comes off, all he really has left is his sense of humor and wit. And it's, he's very well rehearsed with his wit. He's a very funny guy.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
When you
Ozzy just is, that's, Bruce, touring in the 80s and early 90s was just different. I mean, there was lots of cocaine and drugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lots of drugs.
Yeah.
So being with Kiss and Ozzy and the Judds and you're backstage, did any of those people have any sort of like pre-stage like superstitions or rituals that were odd that like you guys always had to do a certain thing at a certain time before they go on?
If Naomi had that, she did it very privately. Winona would literally, and this is one of those things that always impressed me about her, is she never warmed up. Like you'd be talking to her by the side of the stage and she would do this, and she did this on more than one occasion. Like you'd be talking to her and the band, she would hear out of the side of her head that it's time. She'd go, hold on a minute. She would go, hold on a minute. And then she'd go sing for like 70 minutes. Hold on a minute.
Hold on.
Have a conversation, then just go sing. But they prayed backstage. You know who had? Do you remember John Anderson with Yes?
Yes.
So
Sorry.
that I know.
Yes.
I set you up. I apologize. That was.
Thank you, Pam. No, I hit it out of the park.
I know. So he had a teepee that he built in his dressing room backstage, and he would sit inside that teepee and play with a bag of crystals. Yep. That was a fun one. Yeah. So when I worked at Starwood in 86, 87, and 88, we did off-campus shows at Municipal Auditorium here in Nashville. We would promote shows that weren't on our property because we were promoters. And so we did a ton of dates. And I remember that one with John Anderson with Yes. Just there was a teepee in his dressing room, and he had this little leather bag of crystals that he had a crystal thing he did.
Well, what would be like the purpose of it? What is like the outcome? Like, does it bring good juju, or does it like connect with
Justine.
what?
So that's the thing, is when it comes to that kind of stuff, do not look for logic or any kind of explanation. Nope.
Should have known.
No, because let's just make, why would you do that? Does not apply to Ozzy Osbourne. I'm just, why would you is not something that you would ever ask Ozzy Osbourne. And I got the feeling that nobody really asked John Anderson that question too. Why was not going to be a question that you would get answered.
Because all I think about when you tell me that story is a 70s Saturday morning Land of the Lost episode with the slee stack and the crystals. I mean, that's all I can.
Yeah, but these crystals are like the size of marbles. Remember the bags of marbles?
Yeah.
That would be different sizes, and you would play marbles.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they would just be like a bag of marbles. That's what it more looked like. Not like giant crystals that you would see in a head shop. More like, a bag of marbles.
Yeah.
Did he ever lose his bag of marbles?
I think he lost his marbles, Justine.
Yes. There we go. Another home run.
Friday afternoon dad jokes.
That's it.
With Bruce and Justine.
That's thank you. And my kids love the dad jokes. Yeah.
I like a good dad joke.
Yeah, good dad joke.
Do they really? They don't.
They don't. They just humor me.
Right.
When you were with the Judds, I go back to that, and because you launched tours and things like that, what did that look like when you were starting to put together like the hospitality rider? I mean, did you sit down with?
No, I just did it myself. Me and Mike McGrath mostly did it.
Did you ever put stuff in there like just for shits? Like, hey, I'm going to throw
every
this in
once
here
in a while. Yeah. Every once in a while, just to see if people were paying attention. Every once in a while. And then at a certain point, I think I outgrew that. And as promoters, then on the other side of it, so I spent about half my career working for the artist, and then half my career as a promoter or building man or in a building. I could see through that. Like my first career really was for Bob Kelly as a promoter. And I could see through that. I could, you can scan at this point, we can scan writers real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought, what I thought was I didn't care for, and I've seen it more than once, is asking for porn magazines in a writer.
I've never seen that. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
I can tell you, I got 3 names off the top of my head. I'm not going to say them because I need to keep my friends in this business. But yeah. That's 3 different times at the Ryman. I had 3 different asked for porn magazines.
Just red pen it.
No, I did it.
No, did oh, did you?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, if you want to go there, I'll go there.
Yeah, sure. Here's
do
a
it.
dozen of them.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I
Enjoy.
did.
Enjoy.
That's exactly what I did, Justine. That's exactly what I did.
I love that.
You wanted one or you wanted like three? Here's a dozen.
here's a dozen, and these are the raunchiest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even pick. You know when you can go to used to go to can you still buy porn at the 7-Eleven?
I don't
You
know.
used to could.
What's the right answer there?
Yeah, I know.
I didn't know that was ever a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Well, I
used
remember
to.
early when I was in college, I did work at a convenience store,
Yeah.
and behind the counter,
Yeah.
we had, the usual porn magazines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Some were wrapped in plastic.
Yes.
Some
With a
were,
little piece of paper in the front that covered up the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were definitely sealed in plastic, and they had a little, sleeve that covered the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could definitely buy porn at the convenience
Did
store.
you just purchase all of them, Bruce? There was none actually to sell because you just bought them all.
Yeah. I just, hey, I worked at the convenience store. I had free reign.
You got to seal that plastic up just right, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Or no, this one was delivered and it was already open.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So back to the
It's hard to move on from porn, isn't it?
I know. I'm like scanning my list here. I'm like,
Yeah.
where should we go next?
Justine, you're next.
I'm like, shuffle my papers here. Where should we go?
Yeah, I'm gonna turn the heat down in here. Hold
on
on for a second. So while Justine is gathering herself, so at the Ryman, you had, I mean, that's just the tabernacle. I love the
Mother
Ryman.
Church.
Yeah, it's just the stained glass windows and the sitting in the pews and just the acoustics in there. I mean, I just love all of that.
You know what? It's a funky building, though. Like as far as beautiful buildings go, the Fox in Atlanta is a beautiful building. The Ryman is, and there are some Art Deco buildings, from the 20s that are really beautiful. The Ryman is, it's got a quaint beauty. It's a funky little building. It's a funky little building.
Yeah, and you've had some dynamite artists go through
everybody,
there.
everything. Everything.
Yeah, and so I'm sure it's very hard to choose, but
Yeah.
Are there a couple that just stand out amongst all of them?
Yeah, I feel one of the ones I'm really proud of that Allie Harnell and I booked at just the right time was we got Coldplay in 2003. Because they were one of those bands that jumped. Like they did not build their following from clubs like the Black Keys. I saw in a club in Nashville, and then I saw them in a bigger club in like they built. Imagine Dragons also went through the club system and in theaters, and but Coldplay did not. But we had them at the Ryman, and we booked them at just the right time, and that was really fun. And then one of the things about living in a music city is all the guests that will come on stage. So if you have like anybody, like a Harry Connick Jr. one time, George Jones came on and sang a song with him. And Ryan Adams would always have people come on, and that's
just
always
because they're passing through the area. Like, hey, I'm in town.
Yeah, hey, I'm in town. You want to come sit in? Yeah.
Very
so that's
cool.
one of the things that makes all those shows at the Ryman and in Nashville just different and special, because people sit in. You have that in Los Angeles and New York to some degree, but we always had someone when the Judds played the Greek or wherever, even like big at the Pond, somebody always sat in.
So going from, doing both sides, from the artist side with the Judds and then, managing side and booking side with the Ryman, what's your favorite out of those two? Do you prefer one over the other, or were they both just so different that you appreciated them both?
I loved both.
Okay.
You know what? I like life on a bus. I'm little, and so bunk, like my bunk, I always loved my bunk, and I was a dual lounger. Like I could do back lounge and I could do front lounge. Because that's a thing on a bus.
Yeah.
There's front loungers and there's back loungers. And I would say generally I was a front lounger, but I could definitely hang in the back lounge too, when it was appropriate for a woman to be back there. Um, but then there's also something about having your own house, because you never run out of things. And if something breaks, you're in your own town, you can go get a new one or get it fixed. There's something about sleeping in your own bed. They're both super fun and, just very different.
Mhm.
But the camaraderie is the same. I mean, you're working so many hours and so much of your life is spent either with your family on the road or your family at the building, that camaraderie is still the same. But I will say the variety working at a house is, you just unlock the door and the world's most fabulous musicians come in. Like there's something really fun about that from a variety standpoint. When you're on tour, it's the same show, different city. And you almost, I on the road was never as good about getting out and seeing the city as some of my tour mates were. Like on days off, I would often just sleep all day. Whereas other people in the band and crew would be going to museums and going to the mall and seeing whatever movie was out. And they were really good about getting out. And I was never as good as they were. And I really admire touring personnel who'll get out and enjoy a day off.
Do you have a favorite bus story? Good or bad?
Yeah. So, I haven't been on the road in so long. I don't know what the groupie situation was, but I toured in the 80s when there was a bunch of groupies in different towns. And so I have some interesting groupie stories that are probably, a little too blue, even for this conversation. Just groupies on the bus
Yeah.
and then just all the disgusting things that men will do when they're basically around just other men. Just things, because I have one brother and that's it. There's just the two of us. So I just men will do things that women won't do, just things that it never occurred to us to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Justine and I were just talking the other day. We were talking about how people come up to you, mostly women, and they will tell you that they'll do anything to come backstage.
Oh, yeah.
So if I would have thought of this sooner, we were talking about
Like
this
the
and I said,
groupies would say
yeah,
that.
so I would be like, maybe I should have said something like, really, you do anything? Do you mind coming over and painting my house?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll do
Yeah.
anything.
I think
to
I've
get
said,
backstage.
I think I've said stuff like that. Well,
Yeah.
I've got a bag of laundry then it's
Yeah, you can walk my dog.
I can't find, I can't find the runner, but I do have this bag of laundry. If you want to take it to the fluff and fold, I'll have it back by 3:30. That would be great.
Yeah, I got, my car needs a wash. Yeah.
But I mean, that kind of leads into a topic that I wanted to talk about. For so many years, and this is still true. I mean, being a woman in the industry, there's few of us. So for years and years, you were probably the only woman on those buses.
Mm-hmm. So I had this notion. So by the time I started to work for the Judds, I had been in the business only 9 years. Wait, is that right? Yeah, about 9 years. And I had this vision that I was going to go work for women. And Winona is only 9 or 11 months older than me. So basically we're the same age. She would have been one grade ahead of me in high school. So we're going to do stuff and it's going to be great. And I won't be the only girl. And but that didn't happen. I had, I had female bosses and but they didn't show up at the gig. I bounced back and forth between the band bus and the crew bus. Which was nice because I did get to bounce back and forth between which bus I wanted to ride or which was convenient or whatever. But I was still the only girl on the bus.
Mhm.
I didn't ride the bus with the girls, I just
Right.
didn't do that. Yeah.
And when you were starting your career and, being in a group of people and you're the only female, how did you set yourself apart to not be the assistant, right? Because if you're standing in a group of guys and you're
Oh
the
yeah.
female, you are automatically somebody's assistant in the
Or
room.
or a girlfriend. Or
Yes.
girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed like everybody thought I was just like a groupie or somebody's girlfriend. Well,
Right.
I used to work that to my advantage because I would because nobody paid attention to me and I was on the road with Kiss and Ozzy as the accountant, is that I would get to overhear things that I could later use at settlement because they just didn't, that only works like the first time you go through town. And then the next time you play for Philip Lashinsky, he knows.
Yeah.
You play for Irv Zuckerman, he knows. And the next time you're in that, so that shit only works once.
Mm-hmm.
But your own band is going to respect you, especially if you're an accountant, you have all the money. Like you're paying out per diems and you're checking logbooks and you're the key to the money. So there's not going to be a lot of shit in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
And then who cares? I don't care. I didn't care then and I don't care now. Like I just didn't care. And I don't know if that was just youth. I just didn't give a shit. I was so happy to be on the road and I loved my job, and shitty attitudes were like I had, it just was and is, and who cares? I don't care. I don't care. You know what I do, Justine? I feel worse when I see it happen to another woman. Like that shit, I will get up in your face. If somebody's messing with you, I am there with you, sister. If it's happening to me, I just kind of don't care most of the time. I just don't care. Didn't care then, don't care now. Because I think it reflects worse on the man. Who does that? Don't you have a sister? I know you have a mother. Don't you have a daughter? Like, I think it reflects worse on the man who's behaving badly than on me.
I agree.
Yeah,
I'm just over here like nodding. I'm like,
yeah.
I know,
nodding.
I'm like,
yes,
hey, Pam, I want you in my corner too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll come fight for you. Somebody's
Yeah,
messing
thank
with
you.
girl,
Yeah.
I want it too.
I'm a
Yeah.
sensitive male, so
Yeah, I'll come fight for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pam.
I like that answer. I resonate very much with that answer. Very much.
Yeah, dude, I just don't care.
Yeah.
I just don't care.
Because
I'm
people
getting
are
paid.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid. And especially like if you're on the road and it's a bad, you're like, I'll be gone. I will be gone from here in, I don't know, 7 hours. By 3 a.m., I will not be here. And maybe I'll come back and maybe I won't. Like I'll go home and tell whoever, how was it? Those guys are assholes. Everybody in the building is a complete asshole. Like I'm just tattletale, hold my tongue and then hold my tongue and then just tattletale and tell other bands. Yeah.
So
I've also tattletaled on shitty acts too. Like I had a couple of bands just behave badly in my building. In fact, I learned this from Bob Kelly. So we were Memphis and Little Rock in the days when promoters were regional, and Joe Sullivan was in Nashville, and he would obviously either be before or after us. And Irv Zuckerman was in St. Louis, and he would often be before or after Memphis and Little Rock, and then sometimes Texas. And if something was going on, my job Bob Kelly at the end of the night would have me get on the phone and leave a message for the next promoter and the next building and say, this was his phrase. And it was like, everybody knew if they got a message from Bob Kelly or Dolores or Steve or me, this is what it meant. Such and such is headed your way and he's loaded for bear, which means like he's on a bender, or this guy's an asshole, or look out for security is going to lie to you. They're going to tell you they want to barricade it. And then their artist is going to say, I don't know why security's being such dicks. Everybody, come on. Like that kind of stuff. Like we would tell, and I did it at the Ryman too. I would call the next town and go, go backstage and go, you screwed us tonight. You behaved badly in my building. I'm calling your agent tomorrow and telling you what you did. And I've already called tomorrow night's promoter. So they're not going to let you pull that shit on them. Like that's happened to me more than one occasion.
Yeah, I remember when I worked for a fair and we had an act like that where the tour manager was just a dick. And he got to the point where he was giving me the finger in the chest, like that kind of stuff. Oh yeah. From that night on, I told everybody who
Everybody.
was having that act to
Mhm.
look out for this idiot that was the tour manager that
Yes.
was just going to come in and just push everyone around. And
Yeah.
they just got such a bad rap after that.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
That, I got a big mouth. I'll tell everybody. If you behave badly, I will tell everybody.
Well,
Mhm.
you know, you are one of the top 20 women in Nashville.
I don't know if that's true, but
I
let's
don't
just
know.
go.
I heard
Okay.
it somewhere. I heard it somewhere.
Let's just go with it.
Somewhere, because you got the Women of Influence Award, correct? Was that 2019?
2019 was an Oakview group.
Okay.
The very kind readers of Venues Now magazine do Women of Influence every year.
Pam, you have a lot of years remaining. Now that you're executive director at IEBA, I mean, what's your next? You're very forward thinking, very respected in the industry. I mean,
Aw.
what's next for Pam? I mean, IEBA, I'm sure IEBA's great.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong, but I mean, are you looking even past that?
The answer is no, basically because I never have. Like, I've never done that. When it was time to go, I sort of knew it was time to go. Like, after 12 years for the Judds, we had done New Year's Eve 1990. So I did the Judds. Naomi got sick and couldn't tour anymore. So we launched Winona's career. That was fabulous. We did New Year's Eve 1999 as the Judds again. Then we did a reunion tour in 2000. And I've really had the feeling, what else can I do? Like, it's come full circle. I've done it all. I've been here for 12 years. And for me, it just felt like I was time to go. There's plenty of people that were all trained up around me. They still had Mike McGrath with them. And it was just time to go. And with the Ryman, it was just, I didn't get married till I was 41. My husband was in the military. He was stationed in Monterey for 18 months teaching at DLI at the Presidio of Monterey. And like, I was a newlywed. And I just wanted to go be with my husband. So it was just time for me to go. And it's not time for me to go. And I just don't think I don't think you can even, can you prepare your next thing? Because it's not like I could just, I don't know. I just don't know. For me, I don't know if you can write the script. Unless maybe you want to go start your own company. Like, maybe you could do that. I don't have that entrepreneurial thing. I don't like to play with my own money. Like, I like to work for a business and build that business and turn it into a legacy or whatever, the best that I can do, set it up to succeed when I walk out the door. But I don't have that entrepreneurial thing. I don't have that. So I just don't, doors have always opened, and I couldn't have charted this path, and it's been amazing, and it works for me. Like, I don't stress it. I'm like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So one day I'll wake up and will be done, and then something will happen and I'll go do that. And I'm not I'm a planner. I'm not being flip about that. I'm a planner. Um, at some point, I think I'd like to live overseas for a little bit. My husband speaks a bunch of different languages, and because he's ex-military, and that could be kind of fun. Just to travel more, because I haven't traveled a whole lot since really 2000. Yes, so I've been on the road in 20 years. I don't want to go ride a bus, but it might be nice to travel some.
Take a more luxurious route besides a bus.
Yeah. I flew on some of those tours, and that was kind of nice. And stayed in nice hotels.
Well, then I'm assuming IEBA will be very happy to hear that answer.
Yeah.
That you're like, yeah, I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm out. No.
My gut feels good. I'm still good here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I just had that conversation with Renee Alexander and John Bolton and Wade Asher. We kind of like a check-in. And I was like, other than just having like the winter doldrums, because we're how many days till spring? 30, 31, 20.
Probably 120 days here.
Well, yeah, in Wisconsin, we're like forever away.
Yeah. And I just don't like the winter. So other than just like winter, and then Oh, then just like COVID fatigue and all that, that's just a low level of stress that you deal with all the time. Like it's like
Right.
having a broken ankle or something. It's there all the
The
time.
time.
Right. Right.
So you, Justine and I, we kind of read up on you, and you got a impressive bio, but remember, it's only words on
It's only
paper.
words on a page.
But Justine and I love a lot of your quotes or sayings about, leadership or how to conduct yourselves and that type of thing. Do you have any new ones that you've kind of added to your list? Like, one of my favorites, aim low, it's easier. My kids love that one. But do
Um,
you have
I
any?
still like the bloom where you're planted. That's from my grandmother, one of my grandmothers. And I think it's probably as applicable now as it ever has been. Um, there was a phase in business where everybody thought it was only cool to stay at a company for 4 years and then you needed to move on. And I certainly had that with younger employees. And I was like, you should probably just bloom where you're planted. Like just what the version of that is today is be in the moment, stay in the present. That's what we call it now. And I still think that one works. Like if you're always looking and scanning the horizon for the next big thing and what your next opportunity is, you will miss a whole lot of fun. And that sort of goes to like, what are you going to do next? I don't know. Have a sandwich. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do next. I don't even know what's out there. And then my husband from the military has like, don't be that guy. Like I always let that one. Don't be that guy.
Don't be that
guy.
You say Bruce says that often.
Do you say that?
Don't be that guy.
It's
Don't
like,
be that
oh
guy.
boy, this guy's going to be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that.
And that's, you can pretty much say that to somebody while they're being that guy. They just go, dude, don't be that guy. And then just, you got to walk away and let it see if it sticks.
Yeah.
I think
one of my favorites that you said, I watched an interview that you did back in 2018, and you said you can pretend to care, but you can't pretend to show up. And I love that because so many people will pretend to care via email or texting or whatever it is, but they don't show up.
Yeah, you can pretend to care, but you can't pretend to show up.
I loved that.
Were you there?
Yeah.
Were you there? No, then you don't care. Then you
Right.
don't. You can always tell what people care about because it's where they spend their time and their money. And they can tell you they care about anything in the world, but you care about what you spend your time on and where you spend your money. And if you ever want to check your own values, like do an inventory of your personal values, figure out where you spend your time and your money, and you'll know right away what you really care about.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were on the road with the Judds, as far as outfits, did they have any like favorite outfits they like to wear on stage more than others? Like, oh, this is my, this is my favorite t-shirt, or this is, did they always have like a go-to outfit that was always
a go-to theme for sure?
A what?
A go-to theme, like Naomi and those, circle skirts with the netting, and Winona's just in all black, real slimming all black, and yeah. So Naomi had some Bagley Mishka custom stuff made in 2000 for New Year's Eve 1999 and 2000, and that stuff was gorgeous. She loved that. Winona had a bunch of custom stuff too. I think people might forget that Ashley was a little movie star for a minute. I mean, she was an it girl for a couple of years. I mean, she carried movies. She carried a movie with Morgan Freeman. I mean, she carried that movie. And so she had a lot of contacts in that arena in fashion.
Because and the reason I ask you this, and it's just kind of a goofy experience for me, but I remember when I had Reba at a fair I was working, and she wanted cheese curds and corn dogs and all of that. So I kind of went out to the best vendors we had at the fair and got them for her. And when I got backstage, they said, "Oh yeah, just put it in her dressing room." Well, I go into her dressing room and there it is. The red sparkly dress for fancy. Do
Very
I try it on?
Do I touch
Do I?
it?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just like one of those. What?
Did it fit?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say.
Yeah, there coming through the Ryman, there were a number of people that had Chris Isaac had a mirror ball jacket that
Ooh.
was super reflective, and that he wore for a certain song or two or a certain section. I've seen that. I remember seeing a bunch of the Diana Ross, because she didn't used to do like 5 costume changes, and she had a feather thing that she was real picky about. Cher had tons of wardrobe cases in the
Oh
80s.
my.
Yeah, that shit was amazing.
I mean, growing up, my mom is a huge Judds fan. Huge, huge, huge. So I remember, I mean, getting glamour shots done in the early
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah.
And it was okay, I need the big hair because that's what the
Oh,
Judds did. And I needed this because that gold. I remember that, Winona had that at that certain music video or something. So she was very focused on like Judd style because she was all about it.
Mm-hmm.
That
they had style.
whole
I
image.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
so there was a greatest hits volume 1, I think, where Winona has, because Winona just almost always wore pants and Naomi wore the dresses. She had an all white, like pantsuit with a flowy white top. That shit was gorgeous. That was really good looking.
Mm-hmm.
That was the greatest hits volume 1, was right before Love Can Build a Bridge, and they had a Santa Fe kind of thing going on with a lot
With
of
the shoulder
turquoise.
pads. With the shoulder pads.
Shoulder pads.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Oh,
know
you
about
remember this?
I don't know about
Oh.
the all white pantsuit. That would be one of those things that whoops, there went the cheese dip right down the front.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
Maybe we just didn't have cheese dip.
maybe
Yeah.
you're just a
That
sloppy
was
eater.
really a thing.
Or you sat on a chair and whoop, that chair wasn't that clean.
Girls don't really like, we check our chairs, especially if you're wearing all white. And that would be just a thing. At a certain point, after costumes were on, it was really only bottled water. There wouldn't be any cheese dip after costumes were on.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just all bottled water.
Yeah.
You got to be careful with the everything.
Yeah.
You got to be careful getting it off too. Like, more damage is done removing the garment than putting the garment on. There's
Sure.
a lot of damage that happens in removing garments. And I've watched a bunch of stuff. One time we had Kings of Leon at the Ryman, and they had gotten a wardrobe stylist had gotten them a bunch of cool new clothes, like, and it got delivered at the Ryman. Some of it, like a couple of pairs of jeans and some tops, maybe got into the duffel bags that were going out to the fluff and fold, and it didn't get done quite right. And the jeans and shirts came back with a pink hue because a red t-shirt or something had gotten in there. So we went downstairs to the basement where all of our laundry facilities were, and we tried to bleach it out, and it came out flesh colored. That was an entire day's worth of stuff. Ina Jacobs remembers that. That was a whole day. So they went on stage in like flesh colored clothes. It was not great. It was not.
That's not a good look.
And then there was a whole bunch of finger pointing and yelling about who put a red t-shirt in the bag, and that consumed the entire day.
Do you have a nightmarish meet and greet story?
Oh, yes.
Things have just gone. There was that guy.
Yes. Well, it's a woman. So,
Oh.
and it happened at a private. It happened in Fort Worth at a fancy gala. And that's all I'll say. If you're from Fort Worth, you know what I'm talking about. And the Judds were the special guests for this gala. And before, there was a meet and greet for all the people who were attending the gala. And we were doing the meet and greet, the photo line. I was on the first end, and Roach is the God bless you as you go guy. Like, I'm the prep girl, and Roach is the God bless you as you go guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I say to this woman, we're doing photos, sort of group style. So if there are 2 in your group or 4 in your group, we'll just do them group styles. And she looked at me, and she goes, honey, I paid $10,000 for my chair at the Bass Brothers table, and I don't give a good what you think. And I said, I love your dress. Because I know better to argue with a Fort Worth lady who paid $10,000 for her chair at the Bass Brothers table. I will not win. So, but she just told me exactly where I stood.
Should,
And
yeah.
I accepted that position. I love your job. Like just with that smile on her. You know how just women like that will talk to you. And in the middle, she actually said, she goes, honey, I paid $10,000 for my seat at the Bass Brothers table. Then she looked across the room and she goes, hey, Evelyn. And she waved at a woman across the room and then looked back at me and said, I don't give a good God what you think.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I
Yes,
appreciate
ma'am.
somebody just right to my face. And I was like,
Yes.
yeah, I love your dress. So I said,
I
I
love that.
love your dress. Yeah.
That was good.
Just
That was
people.
really good.
So Winona toured with Michael Bolton on this Voices tour, which sounds like right now sounds like the most ridiculous like tour package ever. Winona and Michael Bolton. But Ashley was dating Michael Bolton, and this one is right when he cut his hair off, and we're like, oh, he's kind of good looking. You know, so
I like how
I
like how it's kind of good looking.
Well, you got
he's
rid
a
of
good looking guy.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And really smart. Like Michael Bolton is very smart and like likes, he's one of those men who love women, treat women with respect, like interested in what you have to say. Like he'd rather hang out with some smart women than dudes any day. Like he's just a smart guy. Also, he had crazy groupies, rich groupies too, that flew into Jones Beach on a helicopter. That was some shit.
Wow.
Yeah. Like his groupies flew to the show at Jones Beach in a helicopter.
Dang.
Yes. I will say this too. So Winona has drag queens used to do Winona. Like they've always done Cher,
I remember
they've
this,
always
yes.
done Dolly, but drag queens, and LA has some fabulous drag queens. So we hired some Winona drag queens to come onto the stage and sing background for Winona while Winona was on the stage at the Greek. That was kind of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's fun.
He was a real good sport about it. She thought that shit was hilarious.
Now that had to be fun backstage.
Oh gosh,
That was fun. Yeah.
That one.
I love drag queens. Yeah, they're
There's
fun.
there's a place downtown Milwaukee called Hamburger Mary's,
Yeah.
and they have drag queen bingo, and it is fantastic. It is a blast.
How do you play drag queen bingo?
You just play bingo, but the announcers are drag queens.
So it's bingo hosted by drag queens.
Drag queens.
Yes, but it's called drag queen bingo.
Drag queen bingo.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what they call it. But
So you could have drag queen anything. You could have like
correct
barbecue. You could have a spaghetti supper. Drag queen big spaghetti supper.
But it is so fun. It is
Chili
the
cook-off.
it was the most fun playing bingo that I've ever had.
I swear.
Yeah.
I never before and never after the Judds did I do a tours that included fairs. Like Kiss didn't play fairs, Ozzy didn't play fairs, and I go to the Tennessee State Fair every year, and I buy you can go to the Kroger's and get a $20 pass to ride all the rides. I ride all the rides, and I have my food mapped out, also in conjunction with my rides, because you can't like eat fried cheese curds and then do certain rides. Like it's a thing.
Yeah.
And then so I remember seeing Garth Brooks carved out of butter at the Iowa State Fair. That shit's amazing. Like there's just stuff. If anybody who's listening does not like, you should go to Minot and go to the North Dakota State Fair. It is fabulous. You should go to Del Mar, that state fair. Like I just love a state fair. I like to go into the exhibit. First of all, I like looking at the livestock, not all of it. I like the bunnies because let me just tell you, there are about 120 different types of rabbits, and you should see them all. And you can see them at a state fair. Mm-hmm. In Nashville, they had either ducks or geese. And I am not I'm not an expert in that kind of husbandry, but they had ducks whose feathers look like the wigs that barristers wear in the courts in Great Britain. Like they just had these wigs, and like that's how their feathers do on. Insane. Tiny little geese, giant geese, just like the bunnies, like bunnies who weigh 50 pounds and bunnies you can fit in the palm of your hand. I love all that stuff. Then I go to I have a manicure set that I got at a state fair somewhere, one of Jimmy J's state fairs. Like, you know how you can just go and buy all kinds of as seen on TV crap? I still have that. I still have that manicure set that I bought at a state fair somewhere. I love a state fair. I say state fair. It could be a county fair. It could be the big E. I'm just lumping them all together.
So when you're getting that food list together, what's your go-to food? I mean, what's your
you got
favorite fair food?
Yeah.
Well, there's about 9 of them. So what I have like the appetizer thing, and then I have something like the best corn dog, and then I do a dessert. Then I do that like 3 different times, and I eat them. I do, seriously, but I eat them in that order. Something that would be like savory and salty, maybe with a tang to begin with, and then something that you would categorize as like a protein, and then like a fried Oreo. I tell you what, I can't support fried butter.
Ooh,
like that one never worked for me.
Did you ever try the fried butter?
No.
I did. I wasn't a fan. I
Can't support
I mean,
that.
I like deep fried things and I like butter, but I don't like those two together.
Yeah.
It didn't work for me.
It wasn't great.
Yeah, it didn't work for me. But if deep fried Oreo, hell yes. And also, who doesn't love a freaking funnel cake?
Right.
Oh my God. And cotton candy.
Are you a traditionalist funnel cake, or do you always, because there's some people that get like the syrup on it and the strawberries and the
no, just powdered sugar.
Just a traditionalist.
Yeah.
Basic.
That's the way to do it.
Just the powdered sugar. Yeah. And you got to wear the right clothes because you're going to eat and walk, clothes and shoes. You're going to eat, walk, and then you're going to ride things that are going to throw you around and turn you upside down.
Yeah.
If you do a state fair like me. Oh, I got a story for you. Winona and Naomi both bungee jumped at a state fair. Both of them.
Really?
I would like you to stop and visualize Naomi Judd in the 1980s, early 90s heyday bungee jumping.
In a dress?
No, she didn't wear shoes.
She's pants.
Yeah, no, not in her stage costume.
Yeah, just casual.
Still with that giant red hair, bouffant.
Oh yeah,
bungee jumped.
Bungee jumping.
I was right there, dude. Like one time we were drunk on the bus, and not one time, many times, and somebody broke the toilet seat. And so then when somebody passed out, they put the toilet seat around their head. And then we would prop them up and put socks in their ears, like that kind of stuff. You know, then we used to take pictures of people when they were drunk.
Sure.
And then you would have to go and have them developed. And it would only be that one copy, and you'd show everybody, and that was it. Because what happened on the bus stayed on the bus.
Well, Pam, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Friday afternoon. You guys come down to Nashville periodically in a normal year, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll find some drag queens and we can play bingo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you twisted my arm.
I love drag queens.
Thanks a lot, Pam.
Thanks for including me.
Yeah, thanks
really
for your time.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us backstage, and visit Justine and I at varietyattractions.com.
Get your backstage pass and subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Which Way Is Catering with Justine and Bruce, served up by Variety Attractions, celebrating 60 years of entertainment excellence.
Find out how you can take advantage of their expertise in consulting, talent buying, production, and marketing services for your next event at varietyattractions.com.